I am testing this GoPro out to see if it'll last for a long time. The main issue I had was related to it not working like past an hour or so. Which makes sense because the battery only lasts so long, but it shouldn't totally fail on me when I'm using it. At the very least, I want it to stop. I've got the GoPro Hero 9 with the backbone modification, so I have a direct tripod connection, 1/4-20, which is nice. The negative is that I won't be able to easily switch out the media mod. For now, I'm gonna leave it stock. Got the AW1 with the 10mm f2.8. Do have a lens filter on that I've been using. It's good enough. And also I'm gonna go into aperture priority, simple. With the AW1, to change the focus, you just press the OK button, and you can easily move it around. That inner box is where the phase detect area is. So if you're outside of that, you're gonna get contrast based, which isn't necessarily great, but it would still work, most likely. With the new firmware, so far it's working okay. I did a few tests beforehand with the SanDisk cards, and I've had issues with those definitely. And they did work, maybe around 50 something minutes per, and then it stopped the camera. Didn't have a full failure. As long as it saves what I've recorded up to that point, then that should be good enough, at least. They are convenient, they have benefits. The stabilization is great. It's hard to beat that. I mean, probably if you get a really nice, expensive camera, maybe a Olympus Micro Four Thirds, which apparently has some of the best stabilization. But with the GoPro, it seems good enough, and the focus is relatively close. It is fixed focus, like the Osmo Action, of course. But this one's a little better in that case, and it's wider. So the GoPro definitely has some benefits of its own compared to similar cameras. Although syncing audio is a hassle, which right now I am doing lapel microphone stuff. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to take another shower. I always do this. It's nice taking a shower in the morning, but then I do things like this that feel pretty gross afterwards. Of course, you can get different lenses for cameras that allow you to change the lenses, but you're not gonna find something this wide very easily and cheaply. One nice benefit of rain, or the chance of rain, is that you tend to get less people around. So having equipment that doesn't have an issue with that is nice. I do wonder why GoPro hasn't tried to release their own replacement mount, because you just take the 4 screws out and that's it. It's not super difficult. Thankfully, Backbone made their thing and it works for the most part. Maybe it would be nice if it were a 2-piece thing, as long as it were really stable. That way you could have something in there and then still put the media mod on, take it off, and then attach the secondary piece, but that would kind of not necessarily make it better because you have a failure point there. I do look at forums, I did see someone mention that the TG6 from Olympus has better image quality than this, which I do wonder, but I don't know if I want to spend that much money to get one and try it. Let's talk about quirks, things I've noticed with the GoPro. One is with the lens cover. If you take it off at least once, chances are it's not going to be tight enough to prevent mist and things getting in there between that and the lens. I noticed it with going to a Japanese garden in the area, that it wasn't tight enough and I was getting blurriness on the side, which wasn't great. I do think it could be because the max lens mod is really tight, so that might have actually removed some of the metal of the mount in the back, so that the differences between the two is enough that when you put the actual cover back on, the standard cover for the lens, you might have too much play and then air gets in there, moisture, whatever. With the official charger, it does not charge the batteries 100%. You get maybe 95 to 98% charge, and that's it. If you want to fully charge your batteries with the GoPro, you have to charge it in the GoPro itself to get that 100% number on there. With version 1.6 firmware, the touchscreen is significantly better. I do have a cut-up screen protector from a phone, which I've never had huge issues with those. They work okay. Of course, it's not going to be as good as not having a screen protector, but I like having them on there just for peace of mind. And if I do ever resell it, it does help with value. But it does work significantly better with 1.6. Nice. At least now I can use it without having huge frustration based on the touchscreen. One thing related to the batteries and the camera itself, it gets really, really hot. The last few tests I did indoors, there was cold air being blown on it from the air conditioner. But even so, it lasted maybe 53, 54 minutes. I took out the battery, it was really, really hot. So that's not good. But at the very least, version 1.6 firmware seems to be smarter now, that it will cut itself off when it needs to. I had probably mentioned this before, but with the GoPro 2.7K 30 frames per second is not possible in the standard video mode. That's irritating because I do like that mode for certain situations where I don't want huge file sizes. It's a little better than 1080p. It gives me some room to crop in when I want to. But of course, smaller files than 2.7, 60 frames a second, or 4K, 30, 60, whatever. It would be nice if that were in there. Why they don't have it in there, who knows? It's strange. But you do get the 60 frames a second at least. We'll be curious to see if the GoPro is any better when syncing audio, because I do have the lapel microphone and a recorder. And I've had issues with syncing based on, you sync one clip, which the GoPro and the Osmo Action, actually, they split the video files into pieces, 4 GB chunks, even if your memory card supports larger file sizes. It's supposed to be a safety feature, but it doesn't work, obviously, with the GoPro failing as it has in the past. With 1.6 firmware, it might work this time, who knows? Which is why I'm here, why I'm trying it. 49 minutes, and it's down to yellow. Interesting. I have been tapping the screen a few times, which uses more power, of course, both screens. Oh, just the front screen. See if it keeps going. In this case, the camera's getting more air. Like I said, it's relatively cold. The main thing I'd like with an action camera is built-in time code, being able to sync it through Bluetooth or whatever. That way I can have an external recorder. It doesn't need to be wireless audio, it just needs to be able to have external recorder with time code support, so I can easily sync up the two. But wireless is okay too. Maybe it inputs wireless microphone, which one of the Insta360 or something, that does it, but I don't know how well it does it. That would be really nice. Besides being really rugged, decent sized, not huge. Anyway, some scuff trophy bonsai. I'm still gonna let this record until it stops. Hopefully it doesn't destroy my recording, but so far so good. All right, low battery warning, turned off. Good, that is good. 1 hour, 14 minutes. Something getting closer there, okay. 1 hour, 14 minutes.